This is the plaintiff, Edith Figueroa. She says the defendant, her next-door neighbor, had some work done on his floors and almost asphyxiated her with the harmful chemicals they were using. She got very sick, started coughing uncontrollably, and needed to temporarily move out. The defendant needs to reimburse her for hotel bills, meals, doctor visits, and medication. That's why she's here suing for the $2,183.60 she's owed. This is the defendant, Frank. He says it's a known fact throughout his building the plaintiff is a bona fide crazy person. The woman checked herself into a hotel, called him from the spa, and then demanded he pay her for her expenses. He told her he had all the permits and approvals for the work he did and wasn't paying. Bottom line, this lawsuit's frivolous. He knows it, she knows it, and now everyone's gonna know it. He's accused of stinking up the joint.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Edith Figueroa, you're suing your neighbor, Frank, for $2,183.60 in damages that you say you sustained as a result of him renovating his co-op, right? This is a co-op?
Yeah.
What happened?
On the morning of March the 17th, I noted drywall construction emissions coming into my apartment and a horrible odor. It's polyurethane. I found out what it was. It was polyurethane. It entered the vents. It entered my door of my apartment. I have a studio apartment. And I opened up the door and I saw workers, construction workers with gas masks on, and the door to 10F was propped open.
What kind of work were you having done to your apartment?
We had the floors stained kind of previously in our first batch of the renovation. So we had to have them basically sand down the old floors, restain, repolyurethane. That was it.
Did you have permission from the co-op to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Do you own the co-op next to him?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever talk to the board to find out if he did in fact have permission to do the work he was doing?
I have emails here. Yes, I did.
And did they
Call
say
them.
yes, he did have permission to do it?
Yes, they did.
Okay, what are you suing for?
The total amount is $2,000.
No, I don't mean the amount. What is it you're suing for? You went to a hotel because the smell was horrible, right?
I have doctor's notes. I couldn't I couldn't stay in the apartment as per my doctor.
Okay.
I was very sick.
So you're suing for $1,032.72 for a 3-night hotel room. What hotel did you stay at for 3 nights that was that pricey?
It was 4 nights, Your Honor.
4 nights, okay, you changed that, you changed that, you put 4. Okay, and what hotel did you stay at?
The Courtyard Marriott.
Okay.
It was a few blocks from.
And you want him to pay for your meals for those 3 days?
I have receipts for meals for my doctor.
But weren't you gonna eat meals anyway?
I couldn't return to the apartment, Your Honor.
$950 for 3 doctor's visits, 317, 319, 324. Can I see your bill for $950 for 3
Yes,
doctor's visits?
I have all the receipts here,
Let me
Your
see
Honor.
that. Do you have a history with her before this?
No.
When did you do the work?
We moved out on March the 7th. The work began on the 10th, and it was finished on the 14th.
And you got this prescription on the 24th, 10 days later for hydrocodone.
Your Honor, I have 3 prescriptions. The first medication was an inhaler. I have the inhaler with me. My doctor gave me that, Dr. Englard.
I'm sorry, did you pay any of these bills to your doctor? No, right?
The doctor bills was not paid. Everything else was paid.
Do you have freebies at this doctor's?
He has an understanding. I told him what the situation was, and he wasn't billing me up front.
Is this guy
He
a
says
friend
when
of yours? Is Arthur England a friend of yours?
He's not a friend. He's a colleague.
So he never charged you anything?
That's his bill for the services rendered.
Got it. Number of guests, 2. Your meals are for 2 people. Why would he pay
Your
for a
Honor,
guest?
Your Honor, it was double occupancy only. That was the rate the hotel gave me.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is at the restaurant, Timmy's by the river. You have a bill for being at the restaurant. It says number of guests 2. That means there are 2 humans at the table.
There was 1 cup of coffee. I had taken home lunch.
You didn't eat 2 omelets. I just know you
know
didn't.
that. I took
So why does he have to pay for an omelet for your friend?
That was the total charge. It was.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, do you hear me? Why does he have
Yes,
to
Your
pay
Honor.
for an omelet for your friend?
Welcome back to the People's Court. RV11 here. Does she get money for 4 days in a hotel?
Absolutely not,
Because?
because it was not her apartment that received the new floors.
Right, but she's saying that there were noxious fumes and that was the problem.
She's a baby.
Well, that's kind of the end of it for me, too. What do you think?
She's just being extra and she wants attention.
Well, she doesn't want attention. You know what she wants?
She wants money.
Yeah, guess what she's going to get?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's what I think. Going inside the courtroom.
Why would you sue him for your friend's omelet?
There was no one with me.
So you did eat 2 omelets. You ate 2 omelets.
I ate one for breakfast and I ate one for lunch.
Where's the doctor's? You said that you had a note from your doctor. This is the colleague who you worked with before. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Patient having reaction to dust and polyurethane coming from apartment next door. Patient should not be in her apartment for 2 days. Then 2 days later, he says patient with minimal improvement should be out of the apartment for 2 more days. Okay, I'm going to assume every single word of this is true. And I'm going to assume also that you ate 2 omelets, and they were for breakfast, and there weren't, and that the server was hallucinating when he wrote 2 guests at the table. Here's how it works. When this side sues that side, they have to prove 2 things. Number 1, that side did me wrong, and by doing something wrong, by some act of negligence, some act of intentional mistreatment, something that they did either intentionally or unintentionally that caused you harm. Okay. And that was wrong for them to do, that they can't do. All right. And then the second thing is, how damaged are you? Are you really damaged by $2,100 and 2 omelets a day or not? And medical bills that you never paid or not? Okay, let's put away the damage part and let's just talk about what the man did wrong. What did he do wrong? What thing did he do that he's not allowed to do? What did he do that he's not allowed to do? That's what I need to know.
The whole thing could have been avoided. I would have stayed out of my apartment were the fumes present.
I'm sorry, you did stay out of your apartment as soon as
did,
you smelled the first fume. So what do you mean?
I would have made arrangements,
Okay.
other than a hotel, to stay elsewhere.
Well, why couldn't you
Had he
stay
known.
with whoever was having all those omelets with you? All right, but it doesn't, out of curiosity, doesn't your co-op give notice to the neighbors when some kind of work like that is? I mean, because they kind of should. It should be one of your co-op rules.
I don't have the bylaws in front of me.
Right. So,
I have the bylaws, Your Honor. I gave
And
you
it
a
says
copy.
what?
For structural repair, for renovations, they're supposed to notify.
Who's supposed to notify?
The tenants, the shareholders, the owners should, as a courtesy, as...
Okay, I want you to take the bylaws and I want you to circle, because that's important to me. If he's supposed to notify you and he didn't, we're going somewhere here. So go ahead and take the bylaws back and circle that part.
All right, just look through. I don't know what pile.
She also saw us moving out of the apartment on Friday. We notified her.
I don't care if she saw you moving out of the apartment. I care if your bylaws require you to do something and you didn't do it. That to me is kind of relevant.
Well, no, the notice was during that time.
I'm sorry, what?
She looked in the apartment while things were going on, while the move was going on.
That to me is not notice. Notice is I have a chance to plan. So I want to know, do you know that the bylaws in fact require
know.
you to give a week's notice or
No,
something?
I have no idea.
Right. Okay, here we go. Okay, now you've circled something that does not say what I thought you were going to show me, right? It does not say that he has to give you notice. What it says is all construction and structural alteration of any kind to any apartment requires prior written approval by the board of directors, which I assume you had. Okay. Any such request must be submitted in writing directly to the managing agent. How does that say that he failed to give you a notice that he's required to give you? I ask you again, do you know anywhere in the bylaws where he was supposed to give you some kind of personal notice and didn't do it?
I spoke with Beverly at management, and she said that that out of courtesy, all owners should contact. That's what she told me.
That's not what you said I'd find in here. You told me that it was part of the bylaws. See, you can sue if he has an obligation that he didn't meet. If somebody said to you, oh, that's so rude, he should have told you. That's not something you can sue on. You know, I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. If I was polyurethaning my floors, maybe you've never done it before, but I know how much badly it stinks. I might notify my neighbors. I mean, I gave flowers to all my neighbors when my construction was, but when you live in a co-op, you give up something. When you live in an apartment, you give up something. If people bother you, get an acre lot. You know, and it's kind of the way it works. Like, it's kind of how it works. That they're right in your grill right there. Okay, so that's there are pros and cons to being able to live right. Where do you guys live? Manhattan. You live in the city? Yeah. And there's pros and cons to that. There's a give and a take. And maybe if I know what that smells like. I might notify people around me, but that doesn't mean it's a legal obligation that he failed to meet.
Your Honor, I was sickened from these fumes.
I don't doubt for 1 second that you were sick as a dog. In fact, I'm going to say you were in the hospital for 5 weeks. It makes no difference. Not because I'm not sympathetic. It just makes no difference. You live in a co-op.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And he did something he has a right to do. And if tomorrow you feel like polyurethaning your floors, that's what's going to happen to him. That is what you give up when you live in an apartment-like situation and in a co-op. He did everything by the book according to the bylaws. There's not a single thing he did wrong, so there is no court case where he has to pay you for doing something wrong. Step one is he did something wrong. We don't get to step two of how sick you were, because step one is did he do something wrong, and I find that he didn't. So verdict for the defendant.
We'll see what the plaintiff thinks about finding out from the judge that you cannot collect anything because he didn't do anything wrong, and all your expenses are yours. What's your reaction to this?
Well, I'm not satisfied with the ruling. I accept it, but I'm not satisfied with it.
What did he do wrong? He should have notified you?
He should have notified me, thereby giving me notice, and I could have avoided the whole problem.
So what's it like now when you see him around in the hallway there in the old apartment building? What's that like now?
We don't run into each other much.
You're not best. You don't forgive him?
I'm a Christian and I forgive.
You forgive. All right, great. All right, right down this way. All right, sir, so satisfied how this comes out?
How could you not be?
What could you have done differently?
I couldn't have done anything differently.
You could have notified her if you wanted to, I guess.
I told the guys downstairs, and she knew. She saw us moving out. The work had been done before.
Is this? Have you ever had any? You've never had any trouble with her before?
No, not really.
Now, will you go out of your way to try to patch it up and maybe?
No, the beauty about being in New York is you're not supposed to really know your neighbors.
Wonderful. Harvey?
So when you live in an apartment, you have a right to it's called quiet enjoyment, which means reasonable peace and quiet and health. Guess what? The defendant did not violate that covenant.